How you doing? Welcome to my garage. As you can see, I'm got my new goggles on here, and people have been telling me for a while that I should stop watching YouTube so much and actually do it myself. So I went out and got a pair of these fancy flippy glasses here because I can never remember where I'm at, so that I can use my torch because I'm tired of seeing spots all the time. And my nice sparker because I'm tired of using a lighter. So walk into my garage with me here, and we'll walk around all my projects that I'm attempting to work on, and I stress attempt. So I must throw out a couple of disclaimers here. First of all, anything you see in my garage, I'm not sponsored by anybody. So all these fancy little lights and tools and who knows what else is sitting in my array of junk here, I'm not sponsored by anybody. Also, I am not a mechanic, but I like to mechanic around. So all of my opinions and what I do, please don't take to heart because I'm not a professional, but I really enjoy it. And I learned by watching on y'all too. So let's walk through here. Try not to fall down because there's a lot of junk. So anyway, I like bikes. Here's our first project of many. We'll move this old radiator, or as like you Canadians like to call it, the rad. Smash that off to the side here. Hopefully we don't drop it and make an explosion. Probably should have had this arranged before we started it. Oops, something. So this is what I call my Springster Softail. Obviously you old hats that know what this is. It's an 86 1100 Sportster engine. You can tell by the marrying of the engine and the transmission here. And then you see this wildness going on here in the back end, being that this is a wide kit, and the rear tire, I think it's a 200 or something like that, off I think it's an '07 Crossbones. So anyway, the plan is to have my Sportster engine, which I smashed it out. I think it's a 1300 or something like that. Married up with a Softail rear end. The Softail being laying on the floor right now because I haven't got that far along, as you can see. Then I got this wild Springer front end on here because I like Springers for some reason. I know a lot of you don't, but I actually like Springers. I think they look cool. It's been a project in the making for, man, I think 10 years now, so it shows you how quick I work. Anyway, my theme on this is my Springster Softail, and Harley can get bent out of shape about that one, but at least I came up with it on my own. The next thing we got going on here is this Jeep thing. It's an 87 Wrangler, whatever you want to call it, and got it as a project. Hasn't run in 7 years. I think what probably happened is the engine blew up, and they got another motor, started tearing into it, and found out that it was a lot more than most people think that these things are going to end up being. So anyway, got a hold of that, pulled the motor back out. Guess we gave it one hell of a lift kit for right now, or body lift. Not really, but it looks cool. Anyway, as most of these Wranglers do, even in Florida, the frames rust out because of their illustrious design here that allows water to enter but not exit. So all it does is permeate in the bottom and end up rusting out and causing a lot of problems with the frame itself. So we're in the process right here, if you want to look at this, and making a huge mess on the floor. I have to sit because I'm old and it feels better. And cutting out the bottom of the frame here and installing those things over there on that other Jeep frame, which we'll talk about here in a minute, that slide up from the bottom from Safety Cap. Great product. Again, I'm not sponsored by them, but I like what they have. So anyway, that whole thing wraps up around the bottom. You do some fancy welding on it and paint it all up, and your Jeep's back in business, theoretically, until the next thing rusts out. Also, we ended up putting rear brakes in this thing because the wheel cylinders were pouring out, as old vehicles generally do, and tweaking up the brakes because the brake shoes themselves are all saturated with brake fluid. So that's what's going on with this one. And on the bottom of this, if you want to look, so it's had some cancer in a couple of other areas, and I think it's had quite a few fixes. So if you look up in here, there's some angriness going on there. Looks like it had a whole bunch of angriness over there on the driver's side, and somebody stuck up some type of rectangular tubing stuff. So we'll probably have to go through there and fix it. And then it looks like they put some patches in the floor to make it happier on the inside. Looks pretty horrible from underneath, but who goes underneath them anyway? We'll dress up them ugly rivets that are popped through, and what looks like a horrible mess of wires here. Hopefully we can make some sense out of that here in the near future. I know they don't just fall into place, but that's what we're hoping anyway. Then we'll put, obviously after the frame is all back, or body's back down on it, we'll start putting the old engine guide back in and making this transmission here. Hopefully it's in good shape. We'll put this monster back into it. I guess it's a Peugeot, or you Jeepers that know how to say that correctly, that's how I was always taught. But we did do the smart thing and put a slave cylinder in it, because that's one of them that wraps around the input shaft, and I'm a firm believer in Murphy's Law, and if I did not replace that thing, it has smoked just as soon as we got the engine started, and I'd be kicking myself. Maybe I'm doing this from experience in the past. Probably. So anyway, I did the smart thing, swapped out the slave cylinder, swapped out the output shaft seal for the drive shaft, and then we'll slap that thing back in there and hope for the best. So that's what's going on in this Jeep thing. We'll go over here to the old engine guide. We're hoping for the best on this thing. Maybe the paint makes it all better. I'm hoping that somebody has gone through this recently. I'm being told that it had come out of another wrecked Jeep and was recently rebuilt, but how many times have we heard that before? But judging by some of the cork gaskets that I can see and the Go Fast paint on here and the new components, I'm hoping for the best. So we got flywheel and clutch down here on the ground. They look to be in pretty good shape. I should probably have it all resurfaced, but this is one of them that we're not trying to keep. We're actually trying to put it back together and sell it. So we'll walk around. So this thing outside, if you can see it with the bright light out here, is a 1946 Willys CJ2A, the first civilian Jeep model frame. So I don't know if you can still hear me okay. It's nice and bright and sunny as it always is here in Florida, but we're actually having a decent day today. So, and I mean by decent, it is, yeah, it's still hot, 90 to some degrees, but the humidity is awesome, as in non-existent. So anyway, as you can see, there's lots of cancer on this thing. It came from Minnesota. It's not the happiest. I think that's supposed to be attached with something, you know. I guess the battery goes there, and it's supposed to be probably all in one piece, and it's not. And if we move on back here, you can see that at one time, I think I started working on it, and I kind of gave up because I ran into all this hopefully I don't fall down and go boom, all this really, really angry stuff back here. And I thought, oh, Self, you're gonna have to put a new frame portion in here. See all this yuck right here? That's not supposed to look like that, especially this. I don't think it's supposed to look like that. So anyway, I guess the salt there, you know, they spray that stuff on. I don't know if it's supposed to help the road or eat up the cars to make him buy more, but anyway, it's taking its toll on this frame. Luckily, I found another one, and that's inside, so we'll go back inside. It's cooler in here anyway. So, got a nice little obstacle course in here, because I like obstacle courses, especially when I can't see where I'm going. I'm carrying something so that I can fall down and go boom and hurt myself. Not really, but that's my excuse. Got lots of air, even though it's not a very big air compressor. This is where I sit and watch all y'all do your YouTube videos, because Lord knows I either learn a whole bunch or I learn what not to do, and I can sit back and go, ooh, I could armchair fix that one from my nice chair. So anyway, still rattling on. If you remember, I told you it sat for 7 years. 7 years. What does 7 years do to gas? Makes it very smelly, and causes whatever metal in there to turn into what we know as just a blob of rust. So we put this on here to hopefully hide the smell. Not really. I think I've got it on there to try to keep the sparks away so it doesn't go boom, even though it's old gas. So that's where the pickup unit goes for you YJ guys that know all about this. Luckily for me, got lucky, and it's the old plastic right here, so no metal eat up. Oh man, I can smell that now. It smells bad. I better put the old anti-smell back on there. Anyway, pulled out the pickup and the sending unit, and I think there's supposed to be a couple tubes that go all the way into the tank, and the old floaty thing that tells you how much gas you don't have. It was gone completely, just flat across the bottom. I don't think it's supposed to look like that, but so now we're in the process of fishing all that yuck out of the bottom and got some new stuff, and I just don't want to mess with it because it smells really bad. And anybody that knows what bad gas smells like, that's what we're smelling right now. I'm really having a good time. I'm sure the neighbors will be happy with me very soon. All right, so anyway, we're talking about my other Jeep, my 46. So again, look, I have these chairs strategically placed so I can sit down because I'm old, as I've indicated before. So we have another frame. This one's off a slightly newer being like a 47 maybe a 48. I don't know, you old Jeepers know this probably pretty good because there's little differences in the frame. This is a little bit thicker. The early 46 was boxed, and then the doesn't have gussets on the front for the bumper. But if you'll notice, look here, oh, that'll make it go a lot faster because the battery tray is in one piece. Remember, the other one was kind of tore up. So what we've done is we've married my front end. I've got the rear end that came with this particular frame. Somebody started a project and evidently probably figured out that it was a lot more expensive than they thought, even though parts are plentiful for this. Evidently, maybe they got tired of it, and as people often do, and they gave up. Not to mention that when you do get these things going, there's no AC, there's no power steering, there's no power brakes, they're very short wheelbase, and they don't go very fast. And everybody else in the world goes fast, so maybe they gave up because of that. Anyway, I've got my springs on the back, put this fancy, again, I'm not sponsored by PR15, but I really like their product. Put that on there, it makes everything look like it'll go a whole lot faster than it would before you painted it. So that's what the frame and the springs, the rear end, and the rest of the, I guess the front end too. So anyway, it's got new axle stops, and God forbid, you know, if your axle came up this far and hit this thing, you're in a world of hurt right here, because look at the travel between your, what is that, a foot or so? But anyway, I don't think I would be smashing my 70-some-year-old vehicle up that hard anyway. You high roller Jeepers can do that stuff with your articulation that goes to the moon. This thing still has 4 leaf springs. Who's seen 4 leaf springs lately? Anyway, it's got new bumpers, all the new little tricky suspension stuff that it came with. So basically the frame is almost brand new again, because you got transmission, transfer case mounts, new motor mounts, like I said, new bumper things on the back there. Got new breakers. It does have juice, well, when I say juice brakes, actual hydraulic brakes, because the 30 Model A there under the cover has all 4 rod and cable, or whatever you want to call it. Somewhere along the line, somebody went, you know what? We can do a lot more with hydraulic brakes than we can with the rods, and it's a little safer. And you know what? They don't have to be adjusted quite as often. Anyway, God help them. Back then, it was a different world. You know, you're probably lucky to be just driving. So anyway, we got new brakes in the back of this. They haven't been adjusted. As you can tell by the new awesome blue shocks, they are new. It's the first time this thing has had shocks probably in 50 years. I mean, when we drove it through the field, we didn't really care. Didn't know any better either. It's what we learned how to drive on. These wheels, or excuse me, tires, when we finally drug it out of the shed back in '82, my grandfather said, you know what, I know where a pair of those non-directional tires are. We're on that were on another vehicle of ours. Anyway, they ended up on the Jeep. They kind of sort of match the front. The front ones are new. I think they're from the middle 80s. But these old timers are actually older than I am. I looked at the date on the side, and they were made in 71. And still holding there via a tube, but they are holding there. I don't think I'd want to go very fast with them because they are extremely weather checked and cracked, but they're holding there right now. At least, I guess they're holding there. So, anyway, it's back on its wheels. Hasn't been on its wheels probably in, I'd say, 15, 18 years. So in other words, I have a lot of projects, and I'm a little slow. What we got going on behind it, and we might do a video on this one later on, but we'll just give you a little sneaker peeker of this one. And I think it's right about here. But that right there, that makes it cool. Or a lot of pain in the butt, one of them. Anyway, we'll talk about that monster some other time down the road. Whoop, it's trying to let me go. It says, Dad, take me out. What? Wow, hey, I didn't mean it. Don't laugh if I crash. Or do. So, over here, I'm charging the battery on the bike because I should probably get a new one, but it's easier just to throw the old charger on it and then hope that it starts down the road, or at least it starts when I park it where the battery charger isn't. But yeah, it's charging. It's 2002. I think it started its life off as a Fat Boy or a Heritage, but yeah, as you can see, it's no longer neither of the two. It does have the original engine in it and the transmission, but everything else pretty much different. So I alluded to this before. This is a 1930 Model A Ford, all stock. You know, I'm really holding on to this sparker. I'm making my way back to the torch. We'll get back there sometime. So we'll take the cover off. Hopefully you can still hear me. I am getting a little bit away from the camera here. Yes, this is the one. Come here, check this engine out. Wait till you see all of this power. Ready? Ready for it? Ready? Oh, look at that. 4 cylinders of pure stroke right there. That thing has a stroke like that long in it, or something like that anyway. The rods are just abnormally long. Anyway, 4 cylinders. Check out them spark plug wires. When you reach in there at the wrong time, it'll let you know it. They are pure strips of copper, that or a brass or something like that. Down here's the old mechanical starter. No electric key switch starter on this thing. Although it is electric, you can push the button on the floor, but no turn the key. The generation device right here, 6-volt, positive ground. And for those of you that don't know anything about Model A's and old international tractors and some of the early other cars, positive ground obviously means that you would run the positive cable right to the ground in the vehicle, and then the negative is like what we would call the hot wire. Crazy, I know, but that's the way they started out, just like they did with these cable or rod brakes instead of juice brakes or hydraulic. Always want to lock these down. I've done that a couple of times. Oops. The old temperature gauge right there. I don't know if you have to come in from the other side. It's got right there. Yeah, so if you get your eyes right and hold your mouth just right inside the cab, you can actually see that, and then it comes up and he'll tell you how hot it is. You're not going to be able to do anything about it, but you'll know how hot it is. All right, so we're making our way. I'm going to suck in the fat. Got everything parked a little too close in here. So, I don't know how I'm going to do this because I've got things a little too tight, but I'm going to come back here, we're going to open the door, and we're going to talk about all the cool amenities that are inside this 1930 Model A. Good luck trying to make it all the way around all this maze of junk and hurt you if you get stuck on something. Oh, you know, while I'm at it, let's put the old igniter, brand new by the way. How many of you lost of these damn things? You get a hold of them, you probably got 4 or 5 if you have a welder and a torch set. That thing, I'm telling you, it's going to grow feet and it'll run away. And it'll run away to the worst possible place you never thought of. Really, it's just the last place you put it. But I like to blame something else because it's easy. Don't even ask what that thing is. I should probably get rid of that. So if anybody needs a self-cleaning cat box, let me know. It'll probably cost an arm and a leg to ship it, but I kept it for some reason. My cat didn't like it. He got all bent out of shape. Yeah, I do have a cat. Yeah, I hear you already. People are going to be commenting on that. Anyway, back to where we were at before I got distracted. I don't know if you can see in there because of the light, but there's a lot of extra stuff in here. Like this little fancy lever right here. This little fancy lever right here. In fact, you know what? I think I'll just get in it. It'll be easier. And it's not very big, especially for tall people. All right, so lever here, advance. Nobody that knows what advance is, that is all done electronically now on all your vehicles. You don't even think about it. But on the old school ones, because when you step on the gas, you'd like to advance your spark a little bit, you have to do it mechanically with this one. So to start it, we'll have it way up there, and when we get it going, we pull it down so that it runs better, and then the ignition is advanced. It's not so, we'll call it late, because if you call it by its real name, some people get offended. So anyway, throttle over here. Yes, it does have a foot feet, but you also have like what I used to call it as cruise control, or to warm it up. You can pull this down, and it pulls the pedal down at the same time. All right, we're not going to mess with that. Does have a key, but look, I turn it on, and that's as far as it goes. It's on or off, that's it. And then you push it in to knock or shut it off. Yeah, it does have a manual transmission, unlike the Model T with the 3 pedals. And if you've ever messed with one of them, good on you, because I don't even know how to run them. But 3-speed, 1, 2, and 3, and obviously reverse. We got a couple of pedals on the floor, clutch and brake. And that brake, just like I said before, runs 4 rods, 1 to each wheel. And you better hope you can stop, because everybody else will stop in front of you, and you're going to be going, oh God, I can't stop, and have to pull the emergency brake and slide to a stop. Yeah, I've had to do that. And then obviously a foot feet for the gas, and then you've started on the floor. So, how did I get in here? Fun to drive. Ooh, stay off the bike. Fun to drive if nobody else is on the road. Really is. So, in other words, it's not fun to drive because I can't get everybody else to get off the road long enough for me to go down the road and not have to worry about it. So it does have an old rumbler seat in the back. When I was a wee, I used to ride back here. And now I'll open it up. Give me a minute. Check out the death right there. So what happens if you get into a wreck? You eat the back window because there's no seat belts, and this thing goes forward. So back then, you couldn't go but 10, 15 miles an hour because the road sucked so bad anyway. So it wasn't that big of a deal. But I tell you what, again, when there's no cars on the road and it's cool outside, that's a fun place to ride. So anyway, we'll let that guy go. So we're going to try and walk outside to where it's, I got a couple other dumb things going on. So walk with me out there. I have to get my glasses because it's too bright out there. And I have to remember where I put them. So again, probably in the last place I put them, but they grow feet and walk too. Oh, here's our spare parts for our gas tank here. So you Jeepers that already know about this, bad gas does bad things to metal components. So in other words, when I was telling you before, this, if you can see this in here, you've got the old floaty thing that tells you how much gas you don't have, and then the pickup down here, and then the I think this one's even set up for electric fuel pump, but we don't have that. And then the return tube and the pickup sock or something there on the bottom. Anyway, when I took this thing out, this top piece had holes in it and this was gone. Flat, nothing. Both tubes were gone. The pickup was gone. So that's what ethanol does to everything. Or just gas that's been left in there for many, many years. But ethanol will do that in, 6-7 months. I got the stairs to nowhere right here. Guess I should probably put them in. Here's all our new brake lines for this Wrangler over here, and then I even have some brake shoes for my 46 over there, because I know the last time it had brake shoes was when I couldn't even drive. So I'm sure they're all peeling off, and the old wheel cylinders are probably shot too. So over here, without me stepping on everything, is my Go Fast glasses. Look how nice I am now. Yeah. Anyway, we're walking outside. I was just about to step over the gate, and then I forgot the other door was open. This is our anti-wog device, so he doesn't escape into the street and murder all the neighbors. Or the neighbors don't murder him, one of the two. So, junk hauling trailer. Everybody needs a junk hauling trailer so you can put more junk. And then we got this thing that most people will recognize as a deuce and a half, and then you have to ask yourself, why? Why do you have a deuce and a half? Well, it just so happens that I have 2 of these things, and at one time I had 6 of them. Yeah, I don't know why. So the story on this one was, this is the first one I've ever bought, and it's in pretty good shape. It's got nice tires on it. It came from the old DRMO, or what is known as DLC or DLA or something like that. Now they change them every few years just so you can't remember what they were talking about originally. And it's showing its age a little bit. I think it's a 70 something. And it ran, but the Air Force in their infinite wisdom decided to go cheaper and run biodiesel. And biodiesel's a good thing. And I know there's a lot of people out there already hating on me because I mentioned biodiesel in a negative fashion, but biodiesel's okay as long as you run it in something old and you run it every day. As soon as you leave it set, it does bad things to fuel systems. Let's go back inside, Bill. Actually, we'll walk and I'll open it up. Maybe we better not. It's the middle of the day. Something might come flying out of it. We'll just pretend we open that. We'll make another video out of it some other time. Let's go back inside. So, the story on that is it did run and drive, and it had biodiesel in it from the start. I think I put a little bit of regular diesel fuel in it, but the fuel filters were all plugged up on it, and biodiesel tends to settle back into its, I don't know if we can call it your natural state or whatever, but if you've ever seen like RTV that doesn't harden up, that's kind of what it gets into. It's real sticky, nasty stuff that it seems like battery acid won't even take out, or gasoline or jet fuel or fire, doesn't matter. But anyway, it plugged up the fuel system pretty bad, plugged up the fuel filters, there's 3 of them on it, and it plugged up the injector pump about 7-8 years ago that was. And I have a new injector pump, 6 new injectors, new fuel filters, but I haven't had the initiative to work on it until now. So anyway, that's about it. I think we're going to wrap this video up. That's my introduction to all my junk I've got going on here. What we'll try to do is some builds or build videos, like on this Jeep here, us installing these sleeves from safety cap over the angry areas there where the skid plate broke out. Maybe some other videos of us attempting to put the body back down on the frame. Might get some good laughs out of that one. And then hopefully like a first start on this engine. And then eventually, hopefully, when we get back into this little guy here, the 46 behind us, first start on that thing. And can't do any first starts on the Model A because we do starts every month on that. And then we'll talk about that thing under the cover there sometime. So thanks for sticking around. I hope that I can pick up a few more. You can do the like, share, subscribe thing, and eventually we'll get a name for this channel, or maybe I have to do that before I even start. But I've been watching you all do this. Got some great inspiration from some good guys on there that really have shown me a lot and helped me out. And anytime I've got something going on, I typically dig up the old YouTube video and see how somebody else has done it, because somebody's always done it. If there's something out there, somebody's done it, typically put it on YouTube, and it's great. I really enjoy it. Thank you. Have a good one.